He was asked the other day if he would unconditionally accept the results of the upcoming 2024 presidential election. I'll read his answer. If everything's honest, I'll gladly accept the results. If it's not, you have to fight for the right of the country. That sounds like elections only count when we win all over again. And isn't this the problem with him? From the beginning, it hasn't changed. He does not accept election results. Under what world is there going to be this where he says, if everything's honest, oh yeah, I lost. We've never seen it. Please admit we'll never see that. He will never admit an election loss.
Well, first of all, this was said, thanks for having me back, Bill. We've been doing this for decades together. Secondly, Donald Trump was accused of not being able to accept the election results in 2016. Hillary Clinton made a big deal of it and with the final debate. It's so shocking. It's so un-American. And he did accept those election results. She didn't. She still says...
He won that one.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
So that is the first of a number of clips I have for you today from this week's real-time episode where comedian Bill Maher sat down with KellyAnne Conway, Trump's 2016 campaign manager and his senior counselor in the White House, who is currently a Fox News contributor, and very much a Trump loyalist, unlike many former administration officials who have thankfully changed their tune about Trump after working for him. Not KellyAnne, of course, but you may remember her best as Miss Alternative Facts herself.
Don't be so overly dramatic about it, Chuck. You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts.
And we heard a lot of those in this interview that were both funny and frustrating at times. Like in that clip where she's asked about Trump's idiotic and frankly fascist assertion that elections are only fair when he wins. And her infuriating response is, oh, he did accept the 2016 election result. Which sure, he accepted that he won, but he denied that he lost the popular vote because that would be just too much for his fragile little ego to bear. As a matter of fact, I don't think, to my knowledge, he has ever conceded that he lost the popular vote since then. We saw it in 2020 and 2021, where his denial of the election results led to a violent attempt by his most fervent supporters to overthrow the government. And while he won't quite say it outright that an election is only free and fair if he wins, he has certainly alluded to it on multiple occasions.
Our country might not survive. I'll tell you what, if we don't win this election, I don't think our country's going to survive. I will say it. And I've never said that publicly, I don't think.
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole... That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
So it's pretty clear where he stands, and further what he is insinuating with those statements. An election is free and fair if he wins, but if he doesn't, well, we've all seen what happens then. And we'll touch on that more in just a second with some of Trump's own words about election fairness and political violence from his terrifying Time interview. But first, I just want to play you this super dishonest take from KellyAnne. And before we do that, make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and let's get into it.
And you know what? He'll win in 2024.
Yeah, he accepts the ones he wins.
To win in 2024. But I think his point is important in this way. For some reason, early voting is no longer at 6:30 a.m. on November 5th. It goes on for 45 days in some states ahead of time. They count the ballots afterwards. As somebody who has never said election fraud, stolen election, all of that from 2020, I will say that it's important that we have states that count the early votes early and then add together the votes that were cast on Election Day and give us results that night. This shouldn't be difficult in the world's greatest democracy.
Agreed.
Now, I was honestly kind of shocked here to hear the audience applauding there, because while I do agree it would be nice to make elections more convenient and the results faster, this just feels so disingenuous coming from her as a MAGA Republican. Like, these are the same people that made it illegal to give someone water at a polling station in the state of Georgia. And I know MAGA Republicans aren't the sharpest tools in the shed, but you'd hope that they'd understand that water is an essential ingredient for the purpose of staying the alive. Rich coming from the pro-life party. But on top of that, we have some of the most secure elections in the world. And we could have a discussion about making elections more convenient or improving the process to make it easier, but that is in no way a good faith discussion with these people. Because for them, it's not about that at all. If it were, they wouldn't be gerrymandering. They wouldn't be trying to remove people's ability to vote at all. or get a friggin' drink of water while they're trying to. And it's frustrating to see Bill Maher let her get away with that response here. Remember, to a question about Trump not accepting the election results. You can't just let someone off the hook when discussing threats to our democracy, courtesy of the MAGA movement, and a candidate saying they won't accept the results unless they win by just allowing them to say, oh, I just want to make improvements to our election system. Oh, early voting should be easier. Like, what the hell is that? And not only that, but Trump despised early voting last election, which makes this altercation that much funnier.
Look,
I think the Democrats own the process and the mechanics. They've got a great advantage on the early vote, on ballot harvesting, on telling people how to vote, where to vote, when to vote.
It's the second time you brought this up, so I'm going to mention this. Trump was always dead set against early voting. He just did a complete 180 this
I hope
week.
he does.
Now he loves it.
You know why? I hope he does. By the way, I hope President Trump and Mrs. Trump will go and vote early in Florida the first day they're eligible to vote early, because when the lion roars, the others will follow.
When the lion roars, others will follow. Trump, a roaring lion.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
Yeah, okay. Not only is that the stupidest comparison I've ever heard, but painting Trump as this beacon of democratic morality by voting early in Florida is so dishonest and absurd. This is the same guy, mind you, who, when asked in a recent Time interview about the prospect of political violence tied to the 2024 election, said, quote, I think we're going to win. And if we don't win, you know, it depends. It always depends on the fairness of an election. Are you serious? It's so telling how the guy who lies more than half the times he opens his mouth can't even lie about the prospect of political violence if he loses. All he had to say was, oh, no, there won't be any violence, I can assure you of that. Would we believe him? No, of course not. But he can't even bring himself to say it, and that should be telling. Seemingly, the only thing he can't lie about is the fact that all hell will break loose if he loses. I say seemingly because that's just the tip of the iceberg of the things he seems incapable of lying about in this interview. Because he continues to lay out his plans to mobilize the military domestically to deport more than 11 million people, pardon every January 6th rioter, allow states to monitor women's pregnancies, withhold congressionally appropriated funding at his whims, and fire any attorney general that does not prosecute his chosen targets, among other things. Even Trump cannot lie about how overtly authoritarian he will be if given a second term in the Oval Office. And the thought of that is bad enough, and I'm a firm believer in not getting ahead of ourselves and focusing on the now, because as we've seen, it's already bad enough. But much like Bill Maher does in this next clip, you can't help but speculate about the future case in the absolute worst case scenario that he does win. How would he deal with finally having to give up power come 2028?
So let's say he wins. It's at least a 50-50. Will he relinquish power in 2028?
Yes. 2029, January 20th, 2029, our birthday.
Oh, excuse me, alternative fact lady, 2029. I know how much of sticklers you MAGA Republicans are for accuracy.
Right. It is inauguration
I'll still
day.
be 11 years younger than you on that birthday, but it is our shared birthday.
Okay.
Who's the comedian here?
Okay. But so you said that so definitively.
Of course he'll relinquish power. You know why? Because he will have done such a great job in his second term that whoever the Republican nominee will win, and he'll see it as Trump's third term. That's the way he'll see it.
Well, he had said many times, sometimes in a little comedy bit he does mocking me, because I was always saying he wouldn't lose power. He went around the country for many months and said, maybe I deserve, because we were cheated out of this one, maybe I should get another one, and maybe one after that. So that's just a joke. Ha ha.
Probably.
He's probably joking about running for a third term. Yeah, just like he was probably joking about committing sexual assault.
Grab him by the pussy.
Oh, wait. So yeah, I don't know that I agree flagrantly flaunting our Constitution time and time again, calling for political violence over a free and fair election, and then failing to say things will be nonviolent in the future if you lose is exactly a laughing matter, KellyAnne. Thanks for watching, folks. Let me know your thoughts about KellyAnne's happy-go-lucky attitude about the potential downfall of our democracy in those comments down below. If you liked the video, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and hit that bell notification to get alerted when we post. We greatly appreciate your support both here and on Patreon. It really is your support and viewership that keep this channel going, so thank you as always for being here. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you guys in the next one.